Good morning, I'm Toby Hodges and we are back aboard the ClubSwan 43 here off Palma, Mallorca. Beautiful morning here sailing it for European Yacht of the Year 2024. And those of you who watch our videos will know I sailed this boat when it just launched in Finland, literally brand new, one of the first sail trials, didn't even have the proper sails for it. So now is a good chance to see it. I'm not going to take you all over the boat again. We'll link to that video, show you all of the features of the boat on that video, but just wanted to show you a little bit what it's like to sail with the proper sails on and with the proper interior fitted. So we have, as you can see, a nice big kite up now. These are the cruising, essentially, sails, but the jib is the same size. The J2 is the same size as the racing jib. The only difference with the black sails is that is the pinhead mainsail. So you have about 6 square meters less sail area with this than you do with the racing one. So that, you know, depending on what type of racing you're doing, you could also use a pinhead mainsail, but there is a big square top available for it as well. You can see with this big kite up here, big asymmetric, we are pretty much making what the true wind is. So we've typically had between about 5 and 10 knots breeze this morning, and yeah, it's been almost matching it, sailing between about 70 and 90 to the apparent wind. Beautiful morning and a very cool, slippery Juan K designed ClubSwan 43. Now we just need another couple of knots of breeze. Once it gets over about 9 and 9.3 knots boat speed, that starts to separate. The hull releases and you start to plane. We're getting pretty close to that now. But yeah, another 5 knots would be nice, wouldn't it? So we have, 10.5 knots breeze. We're doing 9.3 knots. 140 true, 80 apparent. Boat is slipping along. We've got Pedro, the project manager, trimming the kite, and famous local sailor Jerome on the main sheet there. So I'm in good hands. Just had a lovely turn on the wheel, going upwind here, and the breeze is picking up and up. Probably hear it on the mic now. But we were sailing, basically matching the sort of 7-8 knots of true wind, sailing at about 20, with the early 20s, 22, 23 to the apparent, and cutting upwind, making 7 up to 8 knots, and I say matching that wind. And now the breeze is up to 13 knots true, 13.5. You can see we're doing 8 knots at 20 to 22 degrees the apparent, 34 degrees, 35 degrees true. Yeah, it's cutting upwind here nicely. A lot of heel angle on, between sort of 25 and now up to nearly 30 degrees of heel angle on. But yeah, not a lot of wetter surface, and that the heel angle obviously would be reduced with a hiking crew on the rail, which we haven't got, not helping with me standing to leeward here. But it's a lovely experience on the helm. And you got Jerome on the main sheet there, just talking to Axel through the numbers, and it's, yeah, a very, very cool boat. I probably said that a lot last time, and I'm going to keep saying it this time. But it's a lot of fun on the wheel. It's very, very direct, obviously. Nicely balanced boat. And yeah, it does feel like a proper sports car. So you can see Jerome now adjusting the Traveller right aft there, really long. Also nice to see not just the main, but you can see the Traveller tracks for the jib as well. on a 3D sheeting system, so you can really adjust the angle of your head sail as well. See how closely we're in-hauled on the jib. And this is Federico's baby. What do you think?
I am very, very excited. It's a great day in Palma, and first few hours sailing with my friends, and it's very good. I'm very, very happy.
Very cool boat.
With the racing maker.
Yeah, and Swan have got their world starting tomorrow for the 50 and the 36. And I imagine this time next year for this as well, no?
Absolutely. We can wait to have the ClubSwan 43 fleet at the Swan National League.
Nice one. You can imagine how much horsepower you'd have with that square top version of that main. But as I said on the original video, the advantage of having a pin top and using conventional backstays, so you can swap out these, having the check stays. Sorry, the runners. You know, to make it more of a legitimate cruiser racer. So if you do want to go out here for the day, the weekend or whatever, and fast cruise this boat, it is possible, particularly when you see the interior as well. And it is a lot of sailing pleasure. It is a weapon. For the active sailor, there's, you know, so much you can trim. You can get load cells on the forestay on this to show how much of the active backstay to put on. You know, they're doing it by feel really at the moment. But yeah, adjusting the outhauls, adjusting the travellers. 19 degrees the apparent, making 7 knots, 7.2. Lovely morning. So this is the interior in sailing mode. I guess not quite cruising mode because we've got a lot of sails in here, but all the lines down the hatches. But I will try to show you it when there's not all this gear on here as well, because it's pretty cool. And first video, it wasn't quite finished, and now it very much is. And you can see it would make a good weekending type interior. A lot of this furniture is removable. So sailing this ClubSwan 43 has also given us the chance here in Palma for Yacht of the Year to see the finished interior, sort of production version with all of the fixtures and fittings in. So as I mentioned, it didn't have the heads in there properly, didn't have floorboards in, cabins weren't quite finished, that sort of thing. When it launched, we did the first sea trials in June, and now it does. And I hope you can see from this, it is a spacious and to some extent proper cruising interior. I guess the question mark is going to be over who would actually cruise this sort of boat. You know, it's going to be nigh on €1 million, and if the ClubSwan 50 is anything to go by, these owners just like to race them. However, if you remember some of the details, a lot of the furniture is removable. So all of these cork panels that surround this berth and act as acoustic dampening as well, they can all be removed. The bed, obviously all the furniture, the mattresses, cushions, etc. can be, technically the berths can be as well. Obviously the doors, so you can strip around, well, over 200 kilos of weight. These are, even though these doors don't really weigh anything, but you want to get as much out for those that are racing and bringing wet spinnakers through this interior. And you can already see, you know, that again, it's interesting seeing from design to reality. It's cool looking floorboards, for example, but you know, it's easily getting marked from a lot of shoes and people being on board. So there's still a few things Swan are toying with doing, and one is maybe changing that to a carbon fibre mast step. and what to do about the one design aspect of it and how much of this interior should be removable. So if you remember, it can be an ORC race boat, it could be a one design, it could be a cruiser racer, it could be an IRC handicap boat. More likely to be ORC though. But for one design racing, do you encourage people, owners, to keep this fitted interior in place, or you say, look, let's keep it nice, strip out as much as you can, put it in a van while you do the regatta, and then put it back in afterwards? The jury is still out. So these fabric wardrobes, for example, they'll pack down to very little. They weigh nothing. But what you got to imagine is when that hatch is open and the spinnaker's coming down through here, and it's going to come down here wet and at speed. And if you see at the back of this cabin, right at the aft end, is the a block for the downline retrieval system for the spinnaker. So it'll rip down through here using a cockpit winch to pull it down at high speed. And yeah, that could be wet. And yeah, you don't want things like saloon tables in at that stage, or any of these furnishings. As it is, you have these wardrobes each side, reading lights, indirect lighting. So for those that do want to do a bit of weekending on it, or cruising to where the regatta will be, there's no reason why they can't. That's a big saloon space. A long table. You could comfortably be aboard this boat at anchor. And you have a galley. Imagine you can have a full stove there. There's certainly the space for it. So yeah, and here's the bit you didn't see before, sorry. A proper heads area with a roving shower. So yeah, wet heads in there, and it's a good size too. And then you got two very wide aft berths. So double berth, plenty of space. Back here, plenty of headroom, probably 6'1" or 2". It looks like they've decided not to put the headlining on. Don't really know if it needs it. It looks smartly finished enough. And that is, it's simple, yet has a touch of Swan elegance. And it's comfortable enough, I think. And so it should be for the price. And that price is obviously significant, 820,000 euros ex-tax. But Swan will want to keep owners from having to spend more than that, as in getting into the 7 figures or being an arms race, particularly for one design racing. And they've got a track record. This ClubSwan 50's been a big hit. I think they've built around 50 of them. And is a lot more expensive than this and costlier to run. So yes, it is a lot of money, but you are entering the Swan world, and a world of regattas worldwide of the sort of highest quality and that ClubSwan scene. So you're buying into a club, I guess. Hope you enjoyed the tour and seeing the finished article and getting aboard for a little sail. See you next time.